a $100 million stealth aircraft versus a $70,000 drone. And the US Navy did exactly that. And that's exactly the trap. A $100 million stealth aircraft against a $70,000 drone. The United States Navy deployed its most advanced fighter, the F-35C Lightning, to destroy a single Iranian unmanned aerial vehicle. An AIM-9X Sidewinder missile, which costs $400,000, was fired at a target worth less than an economy car. And that's exactly the trap, because what seems like a simple interception in the Arabian Sea is, in reality, one of the most cunning military strategies Iran has ever executed. A war where every American shot costs 1,000 times more than the target it destroys. A war where losing the drone means winning the battle. On Tuesday, February 3, 2026, the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln, from the Nimitz class, was sailing through the Arabian Sea, approximately 500 kilometers off the southern coast of Iran. As you can see on this map, an Iranian drone-launching vessel sent an unmanned aerial vehicle from this position while the Lincoln was heading toward the Strait of Hormuz. During this route, a destroyer that was part of the strike group's defense network detected an Iranian drone, Shahed-139. It was flying in an aggressive profile directly toward the aircraft carrier. Unlike previous incidents where ship-launched missiles or short-range weapon systems were used, this interception was unique. It was carried out by the carrier's main air wing, a stealth F-35C Lightning fighter jet. But here's what no one is talking about. Iran knew that this drone would be shot down. It was sent to die. And every time the United States Navy responds in this way, Iran gets closer to a goal that goes far beyond a lost drone. To understand this trap, we first need to understand exactly what happened that night in the Arabian Sea, and why the American response may have been exactly what Tehran was hoping for. The confrontation began long before the drone became visible to the naked eye. The Lincoln was escorted by Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, equipped with the advanced Aegis Combat System and SPY-1 radar. At the same time, an E-2D advanced Hawkeye was in the air, providing radar coverage beyond the horizon. Radar operators detected a small low-signature contact, moving at a constant speed toward the aircraft carrier. The trajectory was considered aggressive because the target did not respond to standard de-escalation calls and maintained a collision course with the high-value unit. The contact was identified as a Shahed-139, a medium-altitude, long-endurance, unmanned aerial vehicle capable of carrying guided munitions or acting as a suicide drone. And here is where the decision becomes critical. The commander of the carrier strike group had two options. He could wait for the drone to approach and use the ship's own short-range defense systems. Or he could intercept the threat at a safe distance before it got close to more than 12,000 crew members. He chose the second option. An F-35C Lightning was directed to the target. Using its advanced sensor fusion, the F-35C pilot locked onto the drone from several kilometers away. The pilot's helmet-mounted display projected the drone's location, speed, and altitude directly onto the visor, allowing tracking even through clouds and total darkness. Once visual confirmation was made and the drone did not deviate, the criteria for self-defense engagement were met. The pilot received authorization to attack and maneuvered to obtain a firing solution. He fired a missile, an AIM-9X Sidewinder. The missile tracked the drone's heat signature, detonating and instantly destroying its structure. The pilot then performed a damage assessment pass, confirming that the drone had been shot down and no longer posed a threat. The aircraft carrier continued on its course unharmed. Mission accomplished. Threat neutralized. Everything looks perfect in the official report, but the numbers tell a completely different story. Because when you add up the cost of an hour of flight time for an F-35C plus the price of the missile, the AIM-9X, the fuel for the Hawkeye that provided cover, and the operational time of an Aegis destroyer tracking the target, the cost of this interception easily exceeds $2 million to destroy a drone that cost $70,000. And this math is exactly what Iran wants the US Navy to do. But to understand why this imbalance is a weapon, first we need to understand what the USS Abraham Lincoln actually carries and why it is so expensive to defend. The USS Abraham Lincoln is not just a ship. It's a floating city of war. At 332 meters long, it carries more than 70 aircraft, including F-35C fighters, Super Hornets, F-18S helicopters, and electronic surveillance aircraft. Its crew exceeds 5,000 people, and its construction cost, adjusted to current values, exceeds $8 billion. Protecting this asset is the #1 priority of the United States Navy. And for that, the Lincoln operates within a concept called defense. Defense in depth. Multiple layers of protection which start hundreds of kilometers away and end with the guns mounted on the hull itself. The first layer is the fighter jets. The F-35C can intercept threats between 80 and 160 kilometers away. This is the ideal zone. If a target is destroyed here, no shrapnel gets anywhere near the aircraft carrier. No onboard system needs to be activated. It's clean, surgical, and safe. The second layer is the Arleigh Burke destroyers. Equipped with the Aegis system, they fire SM-2 and SM-6 missiles at medium-range aerial targets. These missiles cost between $2 and $4 million each. The third layer is the Sea Sparrow. Installed on the aircraft carrier itself, it has a range of approximately 50 kilometers. It can destroy drones and cruise missiles with extreme precision. But if a target gets this close, it means the first 2 layers have failed. And then comes the last line of defense. The system that no one ever wants to have to use. The Phalanx. A 20mm rotary Gatling gun capable of firing 4,500 rounds per minute. Inside this system, there's the search radar, the tracking and fire control radar, and at the base, the gun that spits tungsten at an absurd speed. When a missile or drone gets through all the other layers and comes within less than 3 kilometers of the ship, the Phalanx is the last barrier between the threat and the crew. If the Phalanx has to fire, something has gone very wrong. And that's exactly why the commander chose the F-35Z that night. It wasn't an exaggeration, it was doctrine. Engage the threat as far away as possible. Ensure that if the interception fails, there is still time for a second attempt. And more, the pilot provides something no radar can offer. Visual identification. A blip on the radar doesn't reveal whether the drone is carrying a camera or a warhead. The pilot can get closer, observe, and provide better intelligence than any sensor alone. From a tactical standpoint, the decision was flawless. But from a strategic standpoint, this is where the trap closes. Because each of these layers costs money. Every hour of flight for the F-35 costs $44,000. Each AIM-9X missile costs $400,000. Each SM-6 missile from a destroyer costs $4 million, and Iran can manufacture a Shahed-139 for $70,000. Some analysts say the real cost is even lower, around $20,000, which means that for every drone Iran loses, the United States spends between 30 and 50 times more to defend itself, and Iran didn't send just one drone. This is the part that turns an interception into a crisis. In the last 2 years, Iran has sent hundreds of drones against American and allied assets in the region. Not dozens, hundreds. Each of these drones was shot down, and each takedown cost the United States a fortune. AIM-9X Sidewinders at $400,000, SM-2 Standards at $2.5 million, SM-6 at $4 million. In some cases, for a single swarm of cheap drones, the Navy fired over $100 million worth of munitions in a single night. And here is the detail that changes the entire equation. Iran doesn't need its drones to hit the target. It needs them to be shot down. This is the logic of asymmetric warfare taken to its mathematical extreme. Imagine you have a neighbor with a mansion protected by a security system that costs 10,000 Rs a month. Every night, you throw a 50-cent stone into his yard. The stone doesn't cause any real damage, but the alarm system goes off. The security guards are called in. The monitoring company charges for the incident. After a year, your neighbor has spent 120,000 Rs to defend against 6 Rs worth of stones. Now multiply that by the scale of a naval superpower. The United States defense budget is the largest in the world, but it is not infinite. Every missile fired at a cheap drone is a missile that needs to be replaced. And the production chain for an SM-6, for example, takes months. Raytheon doesn't manufacture these missiles the way someone makes screws. They're complex systems with precision components that take time and money to replenish. Iran knows this and is deliberately forcing the United States to burn through its stockpile of high-tech munitions against disposable targets. And the trap goes even deeper because while the U.S. Navy spends millions intercepting drones, Iran's real military program advances quietly. The intelligence transcript is clear. Iran moved critical nuclear material out of the bunkers before and after the American airstrikes on its facilities. In the days leading up to Operation Hammer, at midnight, satellite images revealed a convoy of 16 cargo trucks lined up along the road, the main road leading to the entrance of the Fordo enrichment plant tunnel, a scale of vehicle movement never seen before. The next day, most of the trucks had disappeared while the world watched the F-35 shooting down drones. Iran was moving 400 kilograms of enriched uranium at 60% to a location that no one knows. The drones were never the real weapon. They were the distraction. Each Shahed-139 crossing the Arabian Sea forces the eyes, radars, and resources of the U.S. Navy to look in one direction. Meanwhile, trucks cross mountains carrying the material that really matters. And the accumulated cost of this war of attrition strategy isn't just financial. It's logistical, it's psychological, it's political. Because every time an American commander has to decide whether to spend $400,000 to shoot down a $70,000 drone, he's making exactly the calculation Iran wants him to make. The question isn't whether the United States can intercept the drones. It's how long they can keep paying that bill. But the Americans didn't just stand by. And their response involved the most lethal bombers on the planet. And this is where the whole operation starts to make sense. Months before this incident in the Arabian Sea, the United States carried out Operation Midnight Hammer. 6 B-2 Spirits, more than 30 Tomahawks, 14 bunker-buster bombs on Fordo and Natanz. The most devastating attack against Iran's nuclear program in history. The Americans destroyed tunnels, collapsed entrances, and eliminated power infrastructure. But intelligence later confirmed that most of the centrifuges and enriched uranium survived. Iran had moved the material before the bombings. Trucks were photographed by satellite, leaving Fordo days before the attack. 400 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60% disappeared to a location that no one knows to this day. The Midnight Hammer delayed Iran's nuclear program by a few months. It did not destroy it. And that's exactly why the Shahed-139 drone was sent against the Lincoln weeks later. Iran did not send that drone to sink an aircraft carrier. A single Shahed does not have that capability. Iran sent that drone for 3 reasons that turn a $70,000 vehicle into the most efficient strategic weapon in the world.